Good evening, free enterprise fans around the world, and thank you to Randomania for allowing us to host this fantastic matchup between ClassyBadger and Vitasia, two 1 and 2 runners battling for survival. I am the Possum, joined by the Poison Dragon himself, Poydrak. How are you this evening, Poydrak?
Hungry.
I can relate to that. There's some mighty fine buttons that look like they could be eaten around here.
Yeah, it's strange that. Problem is, you're not on the tracking today, so you'll have to leave them alone. That's set out for Starman Random today, and we've got Asker on our restream.
Yeah, it's a heck of a team we got this evening.
Yeah, we do, and we've got a heck of a race coming up. Fighting for survival, both at 1 and 2. We have ClassyBadger and Vitasia. Being in this particular situation yesterday myself, I know how much of a sort of worry it is for them. One loss today does put them out.
Yeah, definitely a lot of pressure on the runners. Hopefully, they are looking at this more from a let's have fun and kind of get the job done type of situation rather than looking at it like we got to win to survive. We got to do this to stay alive. Because that type of thought process, it can really change your mentality as you're running, and you can get inside your own head and really get in your own way. So I'm hoping our runners are able to stay calm, cool, and collected and get through this thing fast, but also without those struggles of being in that 1 and 2 bracket.
Yeah, but doesn't mean. We still do have 2 weeks after this. Yes, one of our runners may go out. Hopefully, they'll stick around and have a little bit more fun with the last 2 weeks, and and with the pressure off, they just have a little bit more fun of it. We are on we are doing the LaliHo League though. We have 5 objectives available, and we do need 4 of them to complete. Today to win the crystal to go fight Zeromus. We have the traditional complete Cave Magnus music. Have Clocko forge the legend sword with the adamant, and get that Excalibur maybe, and trade away the pink tail for a random tier 7 item. And our bonus objectives today, which are randomly pulled from the bosses or the characters, we've got Mylon, that's Mylon and Friends, and Porum, the better white mage. And I'm just about to get thrown things at by my co-commentator.
Oh no, I mean I'm focused on this power start here with the twin harp, with a Sid, with a Cecil. That Sid rocking the dwarf axe and the strength ring. That's a fantastic, very strong start. Cecil, 1 in 3 chance at a black sword, which is his ultimate weapon. This could be a very strong, very fast start for our runners. And of course, that twin harp, we love music, and that's an objective once our runners feel they can complete it. So I'll let you get away with the objective 5. I don't even know what that word is. Porom. Whatever that thing is, I'll let you get away with that because I'm more focused on the start for our runners.
Well, to be honest, every single white mage to me is the better white mage, because having a white mage just in general is a blessing in this particular flag set. Black mages have sort of died down a little bit in popularity because of the way we don't have experience manipulation as we did or as we normally do in flag sets. It's white mages are really coming to the fore a lot more, even with some of those higher tier J items like Barkus wines and illusions and sirens being available.
I totally agree with that. As much as I like to dunk on, Porom being the less adequate of the white mages, Berserk and Blink are still unbelievably strong spells. You do whatever you can to make sure you have access to Berserk and Blink, whether it be in the traditional form of an action page or whether it be from illusions and Bacchus wands. You do whatever you can to make sure you have access. That's a heroin robe in the Damson Treasury. That's a fantastic pickup for ClassyBadger once they find a character who can use it.
Yeah, at the moment it is only wearable by the female characters, so Rydia, Rosa, and Porum. But definitely a very good way of increasing the amount of power that they can do with their physical attacks. And both and all three of them do have some good physical options. You've just got to set them up a little bit more than some of your male characters who excel a bit more in it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's one of those where you have to set them up. You have to really do some things to get them going. But the agility and the strength bonus and the physical defense from the heroin robe, if anyone has found, my heavens, they are they are just going to chew through stuff. And speaking of things that our runners are happy to see out of the way early, here's an alt gauntlet in the waterfall, which is not required for our runners to take. So this is something that I assume they'll be very happy to have out of the way early.
Yeah, this is a very long fight generally because you've got 5 random encounters drawn from the enemies around that particular location, except in a couple of instances. So finding that and just saying, right, I don't need to deal with that especially in that particular spot because it doesn't give it any real experience. You might want to leave if it's in a higher location, and you may want to use it for experience later. But right now, seeing that there, you don't have to worry about it. You're not going to go back for it. Move on.
Yeah, about the only time I'd want to take that is if maybe I had something that was difficult in Antlion and something that was difficult on Mount Hobbs. Like these Magus Sisters could be potentially difficult. And maybe I had an Earth Hammer already for Sid, but at the same time, I would then just have an Earth Hammer on Sid and be bopping things. So taking a gauntlet in the waterfall is a tough proposition under almost any circumstance.
Kane being found on Mount Hobbs is very good. Kane is one of those people that will take advantage of that particular Dwarf Axe to back row. It's the only item in the game that does that for him. And a Gungnir Spear has been found as well. So he is pretty well equipped for this particular moment in the game.
Yeah, that Gungnir Spear, as much as I'd like to be on the Team Poison Axe versus Team Gungnir Spear argument, this early on, Gungnir Spear is a phenomenal weapon. You're looking at, I think, about 80 to 85 attack power, which is significantly more than the Dwarf Axe, and it doesn't come with the agility penalty. So as soon as Kane gets a couple levels, he's going to be hitting as hard or harder than that Sid will be. So a lot of physical firepower early on with this team.
Yeah. Just having a look at that particular weapon that Cecil is rocking at the moment, I do believe that's the Darkness Sword. I'm not entirely certain, and it might be the Shadow, and I'm just miscounting the color, but I think it's the Darkness version of the sword. So it's his second best weapon.
Yeah, it is the Darkness Sword. It has that yellow tinge to it. But it looks like Vitasia able to get through that Magus Sisters fight and pick up his cane. Meanwhile, ClassyBadger has found a Dark Elf in the Antlion Cave, which is actually one of the more annoying bosses because it has weak, and it's probably one of 2 or 3 things outside of about Wyvern that can just take Sid's health from 700 something all the way down to basically nothing.
And with just a base Cecil and a base Sid, you don't really have a whole lot of damage. Yes, Sid has that Dwarf Axe, but his agility does take a dip from it, and Cecil is a little bit faster than Sid right now, so Sid's just not getting as many turns.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, yes, Cecil has great agility as far as being fast, but the more turns he takes with an inferior weapon like the Darkness Sword, the less turns Sid gets with that Dwarf Axe dealing more damage. So it's kind of a catch-22 there, but hey, there's a Magma Key. That's going to alleviate a lot of the runner's concerns. One of the primary things I would have been worried about if, let's say, a hook showed up is how do we heal and how do we berserk with this team? So good for the runners to find that Magma Key in Antlion Cave.
Yeah. Antlion is usually one of the first places people check, and finding that Magma Key does add a little bit of a question. Then, do you want to go underground and loot some of the fairly high tier locations, like the Land of Summon Monster path for the chests all in there? You've only got one particular trap chest to avoid, which isn't really hard, and the better standard of shops down there where you could find sirens and everything. Or do you want to continue on the overworld, or maybe find a pan and that you want to go and do down there, or some other key item that you might find useful?
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, I apologize for cutting you off a little bit. I would definitely go underground and try to loot a little bit, check those shops. I'd also want to look for like elven bows, samurai bows, things like that for Sid. Since Kane is going to be the predominant spear and dwarf axe style user, I'd want to have some access to arrows, and to take advantage of an elemental weakness of some sort, whether it be like a racial type with a mage weakness, or like lit arrows, fire arrows, anything like that. So I would definitely be looking at some of that high tier loot like you were talking about, and more specifically the shops. I would definitely want to look at those shops.
Yeah. My actual thinking for myself, Alf, at this point would be, we've got Cecil, go do ordeals and then go underground. Because if you'd have a paladin. If you find a siren, one siren puts Cecil up to level 26. And one good weapon for him, you've got an online Cecil.
Yeah, that's definitely true. My concern with that would be, how rude is ordeals? Do I just pop the siren for Kane, let him get the levels with that Gungnir spear, and just go to town? Expedite things on getting that Cecil, as opposed to maybe struggling through ordeals. It's always an interesting pickle for the runners to find themselves in, and that's all under the premise that sirens are even available, which we have no idea yet.
Yeah. The thing about this particular setup is we've already got a Sid who's going to do a fair amount of damage anyway. So Kane is going to get levels up there and is going to build up gradually, and he's going to take advantage of that as well. So it's just that, yes, it might be a little bit slower than having two characters, but not by much. But that's my own thinking. You've got something slightly different. Our runners will think something different themselves. That's the joy of this. Yes, it's a randomizer. We're trying to promote your own thinking for it. They've probably got their own ideas on what's happening next.
Yeah, I love Vitasia here. Immediately going to Tamra, immediately going to be validating the seed, a physical education instructor for our drop dwarf this evening. So kudos to Vitasia being the man of the people.
Not finding a whole lot in the chests there, but that particular spot doesn't really have the best quality, but it is very useful for maybe a little bit of money, and finding sirens in the shop.
Yeah, no, sirens are a big deal, especially if there's a coffin that's found, in order to make it quick to break one or two eggs open, or even an hourglass. Struggling through one might take a little while, but it will make that level grinding significantly easier.
Going to go and check the Land of Summon Monsters now. Likely open all the chests, including the trap chest, and then reset out of that, and then open all the chests again, and then find out what the key item is that's just sitting loose in this particular location.
Yeah, and it looks like Vitasia on Team Possum here, with going through and doing the looting and shopping underground, and ClassyBadger on Team Boydrak here, going to ordeals. So our runners like-minded to us, but only to one.
That's perfectly fine. We get to see a little bit of a divergence. We get to see a little bit of what we were actually saying, and in actual practical or application. So it's very nice to see that they're actually listening to us on the stream. Isn't that not allowed?
Well, I think they were listening 15 minutes ago, right? So this isn't live, of course, to the point of it being immediate. There's a 15-minute delay, so there's no way they could have heard that. But one thing I would like to point out: Vitasia found Artemis arrows and now a life staff as well while looting. This is pretty fantastic from this little Feymarch cave dive. That's some high tier loot.
Yeah, and I believe they found an elven bow as well, so that's very good against mages. His elven bow, Artemis would cover a lot of your wants for taking out dragons and mages. So yeah, and if we find that Rosa, she'll be able to, especially with that heroin robe, go to town with the physicals. Porum, who we know is in the seed and as an objective, can make use of it as well, especially that life staff, which I feel was a better weapon at this moment in time, considering we've got a lot of physical damage dealers as well.
Yeah, it's definitely true. It looks like the free key item that we're getting is just a sword, the best of swords for Edge, but just a sword for someone not in the seed to this point. And meanwhile, ClassyBadger has found a Mom Bomb on Ordeals. This is fairly annoying because our runners, after they get through the 3,000 hit points that Mom Bomb has in this spot, are rewarded with another 9,000 hit points that they have to get through, or to let the explosion script run out. The explosion is actually a little dangerous with the magic at this spot. It's going to be rough on that Cecil and Kane as far as how much health they have after this explosion.
Yeah, looking and hope. Yeah, that's a perfectly timed jump there by ClassyBadger. Kane avoids the damage completely. Cecil's taking damage, but you don't really care about that at this point because he's just about to class change and get a whole different personality, and just needs to take out these bombs, which won't hit hard. They will explode after 2 to 3 turns. However, with Sid being as he is, he should be able to survive most of that.
Yeah, and it looks like we got on Vitasia's side a blue robe at Leviathan, and we know, because the Alt Gauntlet is in the waterfall, that means it's a water hag. That's going to be a surprisingly doable fight. Kainatsu at Asura, on the other hand, while doable later, still is not going to be fun at any point.
No, the waves there do a percentage of that particular spot's HP. I think it's around about 4%. So they'll come out at around about 800 to 1,000 at this point in time, and you don't really want to deal with that.
Yeah, 800 to 1,000 is far more health than the party members have right now. Maybe Sid survives a wave, but never has a chance of dealing that much damage. So that's not a fight our runners want to play with. Looks like displaced from that waterfall where that Alt Gauntlet is, Octoman has decided to try to jump into a deep ravine.
Yeah, and Octoman is amazingly adapting to environments. Is taking on the earth around him as his water.
Yeah, I've always wondered on spots other than, the waterfall, where there's water on the ground. How is it that Octoman just kind of comes up like weeds through the gravel or through the grass or through the lunar subterranean? It's very confusing to me.
Well, do we ever get that answer for the land shark?
That's also a very good question. I don't think we do.
So, I just assume that Octoman's just channeling the same sort of energy.
I'll allow it. It looks like ClassyBadger threw that Octoman, making very nice work, very quick work of it, and going to be rewarded very shortly with a Paladin Cecil. So our ordeal's not exactly difficult today, rewarding that aggressive play.
Yeah. Vitasia went and checked with Yang in the underworld. Now, doesn't have the pan, so can't hit him over the head with it, but now going to Fabul, so he's going to get 2 checks out of this, and 2 checks from the pan later, so it's not too bad. It's not the ideal situation, but it's not bad.
Well, this is pretty ideal, though, because that's an objective.
That is an objective. That's objective number 4. So, the Fabul fight is sort of required today.
Yeah, it would be very unlikely that Defeat Mylon will not be lit up for both of these runners by the end of this. And oh hey, ordeals continuing to pay off. There's a
Yeah.
defense.
ClassyBadger showing my way is working, but Vitasia is also showing that your way is also working because objective.
Yeah, I think this is one where no matter how you cut it, you're going to end up crossing paths at some point, and they're probably going to be just about equal. That's one of the beautiful things about the randomizer. So you'd love to see it.
Yeah. The one benefit to what ClassyBadger has done over Vitasia, and it's only slight really because you're going to get a whole lot of experience later, plus Legend Sword, is that Cecil's going to be starting to get experience earlier.
Yeah, that is true. The 5590 from Fabul Defense, any eggs that ClassyBadger wants to do underground, especially with that Dragoon Spear picking up from ordeals, could very well benefit ClassyBadger as they proceed through. And oh hey, a Darkness Crystal. I guess the entire world is open, so have fun, runners.
Where do you go? Well, my first thing is don't go to the moon just yet, except if you're going to check the character. Fu would be nice to see. A Teller would be nice to see as well. You know, and Purim would be nice to see for another objective. That's all I can see really at the moment.
Yeah, I mean the other interesting thing would be, what about like second Cecil? That would actually be really good for the runners because then you set up one on offense and one on defense. Cover strat Cecil is amazing. And Poydrak, I know you know how amazing cover strats are. So yeah, that would be a really good find too. If I were running this, I'd be happy to see a second Cecil.
Yeah, the only issue with that is with 3 heavy armor users already, you're sort of spreading out the already limited gear, and we haven't really found any decent weapons for Cecil yet. We found good things for Kane, but not Cecil, so I'd be hesitant for Cecil right now. I'd rather have... Okay, there's a decent weapon. But I'd be hesitant for another fighter. I'd really want a mage right now.
That's definitely fair. Yeah, a mage of any sort, honestly. Whether it be a Palom, maybe Iridia. She takes a long time to get online, but with this party, maybe that's fine. With access to Sirens, to Dragoon Spear, etc. But yeah, a Purim, a Rosa, a Tella, Fusoya, obviously, those are kind of what you're looking for with this moon dive.
Looks like the Eblin shop has a good smattering of items there. We've only found of the really big tier group of J items that you really want in the standard shops. We've only found Sirens, Sparkless Wines, Hourglasses, and Coffins haven't shown up yet. Vitasia didn't check the dwarf shop, but so that's still on the table. But I'm only expecting 2 out of the rest to show up at the moment.
Yeah, well, 2 are guaranteed in the Eblin shop, so that's always a plus. But yeah, that does mean 1 could be left out. Speaking of things that will not be left out, though, there is an edge, and if I'm not mistaken, a Masamune was found already.
It was, yes. And a ninja blade, so that edge is quite stacked. But yes, he doesn't use the heavy armor, so this is a very nice thing. But it's another fighter, and although edge gives a whole lot of things for you, we're stacking heavy on our fighter side.
Well, I think Edge would actually classify also as the best black mage they have access to now, with his flame ability. And oh hey, there's another Kane in Baron Inn, so this is in fact oops all fighters.
Odin here, though, Odin can be a boss that you fear in a lot of places. Here, not so much.
Yeah, 400 hit points, or possibly a little more than that, not going to take too long to get through, and one smack with the Avenger and gone. And oh hey, here's a Bahamut. Speaking of other things that are just going to melt, yeah, Avenger's going to rip through this as well.
Yeah. Are we actually going... if we find Barkus Mines in, say, the Dwarf Castle or Evelyn, if we do get that hook for the trade away the pink tail objective, do we just forego white mages today?
After we check this Earth Crystal that ClassyBadger just got from Baron Inn, yes. But if there's white mages up there, then probably not.
Yeah.
I was going to agree with you 100% on that yes, you would just buy 30, 40 Bacchus wines and go. But that Earth Crystal is 2 additional character checks, plus some really good loot. 2 chances at a white mage, though.
And it comes back to we've got a lot of heavy armor users. Being able to mitigate some of the gear needs that we've got hearts at the moment, which is a lot. That treasury is likely going to be checked.
Yeah, that treasury has the potential for a lot of tier 6 items. Tier 6 items being things like power shirts and Zeus gauntlets. Even some of the tier 5 stuff like extra glass hats. Anything that the fighters here can equip to either make them stronger and melt whatever they face quicker, or win a battle of attrition without having to heal. Those are kind of the things that our runners are going to be looking for out of this treasury. And it does look like ClassyBadger is heading on down right now, taking a look at that treasury, and we'll be going in there momentarily. So we get to play everyone's favorite game of Rate That Treasury. So enjoy, y'all.
Rate That Treasury!
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned so far about this treasury, I'm not going to lie. We're seeing a bunch of Stardust Rods. There's 2 Zeus Gauntlets, which are nice.
Sort of crystal ring, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's more of a mage sort of treasury than anything else, so I would guess.
I'll give it a 3 out of 10 because the crystal ring and the 2 Zeus gauntlets are endgame items that are fantastic to have. Maybe 4 for the protect ring and the moon veil in there, but it left a little bit to be desired.
Yeah, I must admit, having Avenger Crystal Armor Zeus Cecil is quite nice.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see a lot of things off the back of that rather than anything else right now. Kane's okay right now, but he's not really standing out because there's not a whole lot for him apart from that Gungnir and Fire Sword that we found, at least on ClassyBadger's side. The Dragoon Spear will bring him up a little bit, but there's not much.
Yeah, the Dragoon Spear for one of the Canes, the Gungnir for the other, those are both good weapons, but that Avenger is a great weapon. It's just a matter of where does it go. Does it go on a Cane? Does it go on a Cecil? How do you want to orient your party? And that's going to be something that our runners are going to have to decide. It's kind of a weird situation where do you leave Cecil as your cover tank, and do you just let your Canes run wild with Avenger with Dragoon? Or do you put it on Cecil and take advantage of the fact that he just has superior stat growth all around? It's a tough call.
Yeah, that's actually the issue with Kane in this particular flag set. He's very good in a bubble. However, the fighters around him tend to outshine him a lot. Yang is better in the late game. Edge, if you get weapons, just outshines him completely, and Cecil just outshines him most of the way through the game. Sid is generally used as an anchor anyway, so that's a better use of him. So Kane's just there and thereabouts. He's good on his own, but with others, not so much.
Yeah, I personally find Kane to have lost a little bit of value between the last tournament, Zima Zone 3, and this one, because he provided the functionality that was really necessary. A way to make sure your mages did not get exploded by exactly Valvalis, or something else rude, for example, like an Ogopogo, where it's a little bit harder to deal with. But in this flag set, it's primarily a Zerker flag set. There are some occasions where that doesn't happen, but he is, as you stated, kind of the third, maybe fourth best Zerker. And he is great early on, but he loses a lot of value as the seed progresses. So I find Kane to be patently average on this flag set, which is perfectly fine. Not everyone has to be Cecil level broken.
Yeah, and if we go with plus weapons for Kane, the spears, yeah, they're good, but most of the good weapons that Kane can use, Cecil can as well. Defense sword, Avenger, Ice Brand if you need to use that in the early game, the Flame Sword if you've got nothing better, and the Flame Sword is still very good against some things. So.
Yeah, and it looks like ClassyBadger is going to be giving us music very shortly. I am always excited for this. Looks like Vitasia is making his way through Baron Inn, has gotten through that Odin. No surprise, very easy to get through. And onto this Bahamut with that edge being kitted out like this, going to be really easy. But looks like we get music, and hopefully we get something new. So enjoy, y'all.
Yeah, good thing about the set of heavy armor users, they're all magnetized. Don't worry about that.
That's true.
Nice bit of soothing song. Not actually sure where that one's from, but very soothing tunes today.
Yeah, good tunes indeed. I believe chat is saying from Xenoblade. Did not pick that one up myself, so thank you, chat, for letting us know. Chat always smart. And ClassyBadger letting us know thoughts enshrined from Xenoblade. composed by community member Xenocat, or actually the MIDI compiled. So one of Xenocat's contributions. So thank you to ClassyBadger for letting us know what that song was, and also picking up that rat tail. And meanwhile, Vitasia, hot on ClassyBadger's heels, going to be giving us a reprisal of music in quite short order.
Yeah, Rattel doesn't really give us a whole lot on the hook to actually make use of it. But if we're going to be picking that up anyway for the pink tail, a double check is always nice.
Yeah, the more objectives, the more key items you can check at once, the better. So yeah, our runner is definitely going to be excited to be able to check multiple things. But here's some more music. So again, enjoy, y'all.
So Vitasia is through the Baron Guards, going to be picking up his rat tail. I do like the order that they've done this in. We started out with the twin harp. You were going to go and do it eventually. The earth crystal just makes it a very quick 1-2 check here. You have to go back to the airship anyway after the twin harp. You're right outside Tower of Zop, basically.
Yeah, it would be even funnier to me if Tower of Zot ended up then giving the Baron key, so it just landed you right where you needed to go next. It would kind of be a nice little gift from the seed if that were to happen.
Plague doesn't bring a whole lot with the Avenger happening, but we do have our Purim.
Yeah, not only is it Purim there, but we also see Dark Knight Cecil at Dwarf Castle 2. We get that little insider information. As long as you have someone with more than a couple hundred health, that fight is free. And oh baby,
we seem to have a few of them. Double up.
Yeah. So I don't think Purim is going to be taken by probably either runner. Maybe Fusoya certainly will be taken.
Yeah, Fu. After his vacation from Zuma Zone 3, has come back and forth. Yes, he's a little bit doesn't have as much power because of the Sineki flag, where he only comes with a very, very basic weapon and no armor, and he does sort of need stats in his wisdom and will. But Nuke is still Nuke. Berserk is still Berserk. He's still going to contribute a whole lot to this team. And that Purim is being kept, much to Possumorpheus' chagrin.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, though, because if you think about it, this party does need multiple sources of Zerk, because Fusoya is largely going to be on offensive duties here. Second Kane, Gungnir Spear is not an endgame weapon, and there is no guarantee a better endgame weapon will be found. So that second Kane does make sense as someone who can be replaced. Sid being the anchor, Porum to be the person casting Zerk, Fusoya casting Nuke or Quake, Cecil and Kane doing their thing. So I understand this as well from ClassyBadger. This is a safer way to play, a less aggressive way where you would keep that second Kane and get rid of that Porum. So it's definitely understandable.
One of the good things about this is just having that second white mage. Yes, Cure 4 is an amazing spell. Porum learns it late, but you've got Fu for that. So let's say we had go mode right now. I wouldn't, and you're wanting to go and do your grind. Generally, Berserk strats don't need as much experience and levels. So you've got not Fu for the curing. You don't need Porum up too high. Just Berserk and maybe being able to nerf a few big bangs with her slow or just throwing an item.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And speaking of more things that are nice for that upcoming Fusoya, Vitasia just found a Sork robe in a random chest. That is effectively going to be the best gear that Fusoya is going to have. So that Sork robe is just fantastic. Maybe a white shirt might be better for the Zeromus fight in particular, or maybe for some curing, but that's a fantastic pickup out of a random box.
Yeah, and we do have the rune rings that we started with, all 10 of them, if you haven't sold them all already. And so Fu's going to have a little bit. There is a wizard hat as well, if you really want to give that to him. And so he's not without armor. It's just if you just go by what you start with, just the rune rings, wizard robe, and wizard hat, his wisdom stat where his black magic isn't quite as high as it could have been.
Yeah, Fusoya and Edge are the two characters that really got hit hardest by the Neki flag, which was added for this tournament and added to a recent update by the wonderful Boardface, primary developer for Free Enterprise. Where Neki, basically you start with a random tier 1 to 3 weapon and no armor whatsoever. So normally Fusoya would come with a rune ring, a Sork robe, a wizard hat, I think. And
it's a wizard hat, Sork robe, and a diamond ring.
Diamond ring, okay, and a lunar staff as well. So Fusoya gets hit quite hard by that Neki flag. Now, thankfully, our runners have found some good gear, and we do start with that kit that has the rune rings, the wizard hat, the wizard shirt. So
and we found them Stardust Rock studs as well, haven't we? Never mind. A food set for days. Don't worry about it then.
Yeah, and those Stardust rods.
He doesn't need any armor. Stardust Rod is enough.
Yeah, Fusoya is very much so set, but in another world where we didn't find all this mage gear for what was a Zerker party at the time, Fusoya could have been hit very hard by that flag. So good to see that he is going to be kitted out for this team and carrying the black and white magic duties.
Yeah, Vitasia is probably happy that he's seen a couple of people that can learn Berserk. I'm only expecting him to take the Fu, not the Porum here. He'll probably change out for one of the Canes. Or Sid. Sid works.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where as long as you're not worried really about a certain nuke bird, you should be fine. Things will get a little iffy if that happens. Also, I see a Soma drop in Vitasia's inventory. That is going to be a big deal for Fusoya. Pushing him to 200 MP instead of 190. The big deal there is that's 4 nukes or 5 Cure 4s instead of 3
most importantly,
nukes.
2 Meteos.
Or 2 Meteos, you are not wrong. Everybody loves swag rocks. But on ClassyBadger's side, we have an evil wall here at Dwarf Castle 1. This spot hits particularly hard for what is a relatively early game check. This is going to be unpleasant. ClassyBadger is going to get through it, largely on the back of Fusoya and Avenger Cecil. But yeah, that's a rough one. Thankfully, everyone's going to have enough health to go through into that second fight, which we know is Dark Knight Cecil.
So yeah, Kane's taken a dive there. Kane, really, you're not worried about the experience. We've seen Sirens, and we don't need to worry about experience really. Just get through these fights as quickly as possible, or worry about experience and levels later.
Well, guess ClassyBadger is not interested in the inferior old man, as Tella was very quickly dismissed. And
I think he's pretty much set up for his team now. Maybe swapping out Purim for Rosa or a second Fu if you see it, but that's about it.
Yeah, or possibly like a second Sid if that's something that comes up as a replacement anchor later in the game. Maybe Iridia might want to think about that later on to keep Fusoya in particular at relative agility 1. But it's not the biggest deal, especially if your team is going to be super strong and super fast with the amount of Zerks that are going to be coming out.
And that is one of the benefits that Vitasia does have here. Yes, he's kept a second second and Kane over Sid. Kane's agility growth is very, very good. So his attacks are going to be coming out thick and fast.
Yeah, Kane is a speedy boy. He, Edge, and Edward are the three that I always look at their agility and go, you have a lot of agility. Sid, most mages, and even Cecil to a certain extent, they're not really that fast. So you can do a lot more in the way of manipulations there. But it'll be interesting to see how our runners handle that side of things once they get there. And this is a spicy little check here coming up from Vitasia. We might be getting an early Luca cave dive here. Definitely doable with Nuke on Fusoya and having an Avenger. But there's a lot of scary things that could be floating around down there, like a Leviathan, for example, with some high-powered Ice 2s.
Yeah. One of the things that Vitasia has done differently from ClassyBadger is his Cecil is set to be defensive. The Avenger is on one of the Canes at the moment, so he might be hoping to just take advantage of them cover strats or just having Cecil outlast things at the moment.
Gotcha, that makes sense as well. Do the thing that no one else can do, which is protect your party, and let Kane do something with the Avenger, basically be a vessel to just carry that Avenger and let it go burn.
Yeah. And the good thing about this Luca Cave check is we've already seen, in Mylon, we've already seen the mist. You can just check the item and then if you don't want it, reset out.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So it'll be interesting to see, like, let's say this is, a spoon, a sand ruby, not necessarily something that our runners would need right now. Would they consider keeping it? An Artemis bow, certainly not, especially not with this team.
Yeah, Artemis bow, although it's got very good stats, increases strength, vitality, and agility, it's not what you're looking for.
Yeah, not quite the value that our runners want out of that Luca dive, but it's another check out of the way, and it's a very quick one. All told, that's probably about a minute and 15 seconds, minute and a half. You dive down there, you look at the item, it's not something you need, and you're out of there. And Vitasia going to go to Dwarf Castle now, which is going to get him back on kind of level ground with ClassyBadger, maybe even ever so slightly ahead, because ClassyBadger has not yet done Sheila 1.
Yeah, and from that hasn't done on the football fight, which means he hasn't done Mylon yet. So is lacking behind on that objective. So he may just check this box. So taking a little bit of extra time just to do that.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Not having seen that Mylon, ClassyBadger, well, not going to peek the boss, it looks like. So going to be bailed out a little bit by the fact that Mylon is not there. But looks like he did not leave a second save outside, so going to have to make a little bit of a trek out of here, deciding to walk out in order to get back out of the cave.
Yeah, has only been using that one particular save spot. If just a little tip for any newer runners out there, use them all. There's no shame in using every single little thing to your best ability. Use all the save slots. Don't stick to one. You may want to go back a little bit further than you previously thought.
Yeah, I know there are times where I routinely end up with 3 and sometimes even all 4 save slots in use for setting up multiple save scums, and sometimes it gets very confusing, admittedly, but it's so much easier than just using one single save to try to maneuver through situations exactly like this. So that is a great tip for new runners, or even some experienced ones who may just have not fooled around with utilizing all those save slots.
Vitasia is through the dwarf castle very quickly and picking up his package.
Yeah,
I don't think that's really going to be checked today.
It definitely could be checked, but what would you keep out of there? Would you keep a Rosa? Would you keep a second Fusoya? I don't know. I don't think I would take any character there right now.
Yeah, I'm happy with both of our runners' character setups today at this moment in time. Both have got fairly solid agility manipulation with the Fu. They've got great physical damage. They've got great magical damage. ClassyBadger has taken an extra Zerk caster and has got the agility manipulation with Sid instead. So I'm just really happy with the setups. I don't think that package is really on my radar to be checked at all ever. At least today.
Yeah, definitely there are times and places and situations where you want to check it. This really not being one of them.
Yeah, we're also 50 minutes into the seed. We've done a whole lot of bosses already. Yes, there's still a lot out there. We've still got the entirety of the moon to go through, but it's getting to a point where, because of the experience, we don't have the boost in experience. We're getting to the point where our levels are getting high enough where anyone that joins in at around this moment to a little bit later than now, they don't get the full benefit of everything. So they might be a little bit less powered when you get to the Zeromus fight.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Sirens do kind of mitigate that, thankfully, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I would not want to take a bunch of extra time grinding somebody up who joins late, even if it is someone as good as a Rosa. So yeah, I kind of like investing, kind of as you said, how the parties are now. They're very well set up for both runners. And Vitasia threw that Water Hag. So let's see what this first Fey March spot is going to pay out with. There is the Sand Ruby. And looks like Vitasia just flat out resets. Does not even care to keep it.
I don't blame him. That's along with the same lines as the package. Yes, the package has an extra boss, but we don't need bosses. It's still Sand Ruby is just a character check and a heal at the end of it. You're happy with characters. Don't need to worry about anything else.
Yeah, I think I would personally keep it just for the extra key item to get me closer to 10, but it's, kind of runner's choice at that point as to how they do it. And looks like Vitasia going to go after this Kainatsu. This is going to be a little rough with a 20 agility anchor in the middle. This Asura spot has 66 agility. This is going to be a speedy Kainatsu.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to break the waves as routinely as you expect because of that agility. Edge might be the only one that can in this particular spot with the team. Maybe Kane, but Edge, I'd rather put everything on his shoulders than anything else for dissipating the waves.
Yeah, it's it's just a tough fight. I think he should be all right now. Should just be able to cure 4 through this, maybe Zerk through it. But, well, there's a nasty little punch on Kane.
And that is the Kane with the Avenger, so that's less damage coming out. So a wave coming in might be a bit problematic, but I think his hit points total is down far enough that he's not going to be really worrying about it.
Yeah, I think he should be through now. A couple Cure 4s will take care of this. And ClassyBadger doing his loop back up to Fabul Defense, completed the boss and got that objective for Mylon and also got that Darkness Crystal too.
He did just reset out of the fights in the Land of Summon Monsters, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's eyeing the moon right now.
Yeah, I don't blame him. It's one of those things where it's like, do I want to invest the time for this? Maybe for the Water Hag, yes, but that Kainatsu, well, turns out you might want to go and take on that Kainatsu for the Pan. So it looks like we're going to get a keyless tower check from ClassyBadger here.
Pan's a very good item. They've already done the first check of Sheila, but there's still 2 key items available, one from the Sylphs themselves and the second one from handing in that pan to Sheila. So 2 chances at the Pink Tail or the Adamant, and that's everything they need. They don't need anything else. They've got Sirens, they've got their grind available. They just need this 1 key item left.
Yeah, this pan is in particular to me something that's 2 additional checks. That's huge for what you're looking for. Keyless Tower could pay off. You know, if Keyless Tower has, let's say, the Adamant, oh hey, we're ready to go. If the pan has, let's say, the Pink Tail or the Hook, but not both, Vitasia kind of gets left in a weird spot. So it'll be very interesting. And looks like we have a Val at the top of tower and either Ruby or Elements up on the Hook route.
Yeah, Val here is a bit of a pain, but we've got Canes to mitigate it, so this shouldn't be a problem. Normally, I would say you want to keep Val in her sort of tornado form, but this is one of the spots where I think it's actually better to keep her out of it because the punches don't hit too hard and the defense stat does increase quite a bit in this area.
Yeah, it's always tough, you know, do you want to, do you not want to keep Val in the tornado? And oh, there's a Hook from that pan turn-in. So that's a pretty big pickup because that now puts Vitasia 1 key item away from go mode in 2 different directions, either the Pink Tail or the Adamant Rock.
And we do have that Rat Tail, so we could go from that Rat Tail straight into a Pink Tail, which gets instantly turned in, or find that Adamant just from that.
That is very true. So this Kainatsu, that Vitasia opted to take on in the Fey March. That test of skill and ability. Well, I mean, you'll take a pass. It's a little bit of a dead-end chain, at least for now. But if that pink tail shows up somewhere soon, having access to the pass as well to complete all that, instead of having to, let's say, chase down exactly the forge, this is a pretty big moment for Vitasia. Leaving Keyless Tower and going to the moon to find the rest of what they need to complete the seed.
Yeah, one of the other good things about that particular pass is if the pink tail or the adamant is on the moon, you only need to come down once and you don't need to go back up again, because you can do your grind down here with the sirens and then just use the pass to get to Zeromus. You don't need to go to the moon more than once today for Vitasia.
Yeah, and that's always a big deal to save that walk, because the pass versus the lunar subterranean walk, it's what, about a minute and 45 seconds difference, maybe 2 minutes even. So it's quite a substantial time save. And the chains.
Baron Key is 2 key item checks.
Yeah, I know. In this situation, if I'm ClassyBadger, I'm chasing that, because you invest the time to do that check initially. So go take on that Baron Key now.
Vitasia is checking the Cave of Value, Cave Bahamut, checking the boss and seeing a Lunar Sparkle, and is he going to go for it?
I think we're going to get a Gold Dragon grind first. He has Hourglasses and he has a Dragoon Spear.
Yep, that will do it. This will get his levels to exactly where he wants them for not just now, but for the Zeromus fight later.
Yeah, I don't hate this play. It's a little awkward going in with the Avenger on, because that's just going to be a lot of effectively dead turns being taken up. This is where you would really want to be doing a Dragoon Spear into Avenger swap in order to maximize the efficiency of this. We'll see if he makes any adjustments in between fights, but this is definitely a heads-up grind to do. If he can life glitch, you're looking at 180,000 experience per fight here.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if his canes are back row glitched, because that one cane in the back only did a couple thousand. I'm a little bit... Yeah, that's not Dragoon Spear damage normally.
Yeah, one of them for sure is not. I don't know about the other one. But it does look like ClassyBadger going to take that trek into Baron as we expected, having made the play to pick up that Baron Key.
Even if that cane isn't particularly back row glitch, though, it's still, getting through these fights is still fairly academic. There's plenty of defense power on these characters, and plenty of offensive power as well to get through the 8,000 and change hit points of the King Ryu's. So, not really too worried, but it just going to take slightly longer with all the attacks coming out rather than 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's just a ton of experience. So looking at it and getting those life glitches, this party is going from decent to completely overpowered in the matter of a couple fights.
Yeah. The one outside of that, strangely, is Cecil. Because we've got a Dragoon Spear on one cane, we've got a Avenger on the other cane. I mean, we've got a Masamune Ninja on our edge. Cecil's currently rocking, what, a Poison Axe?
Well, first of all, Poison Axe is one of the preeminent weapons in the game.
Yes, but does it count his better weapons?
Well, I mean, hold on. Better is a subjective term, right? No, I'll stop. One of the things about Vitasia's situation, though, with this is, yes, right now, that Cecil does not have a good weapon, but the Pinktail is a 3/8 chance of a great weapon, and the Forge is a guaranteed Excal. So, regardless of which uh, final objective Vitasia completes, there's a very good chance they get a nice shiny stick from that anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll grant you that. There is there's still a lot of chances for Cecil to suddenly become overpowered. It's not, but it's just at this particular moment, Cecil isn't exactly the place where you want it. Not right. Not as high tier as you would like it.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's honestly kind of refreshing to see, because we see so many of these tournament races where Cecil is just running around with Crystal Swords, Excals, Avengers, and just blowing everything up by himself. So it's nice to see some of the other party members can chip in. I know that we have Fusoya in these parties, and he does a lot of good work. Oh, by the way, taking care of all of Leg on ClassyBadger's side. But Fusoya, he can only cast Nuke every so often. Cecil can literally cast Nuke with every swing of a sword.
And to answer the question, Bad Karma, yes, Defense Sword is a very good weapon, but it's not Excalibur. It's not. It's not Crystal Sword. Or you see, there is a very marked difference between the two, just because they are those weapons. It's just that, really. Sure, I'll be happy with a Defense Sword on Cecil. He might have that at the moment, but I don't think he does. But so, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tough situation right now, but there's enough DPS from other characters that you can keep Cecil knowing that he will get that shiny sword. Not to mention, there haven't been a ton of other great options that have shown up as far as who you'd want. Speaking of great options that haven't shown up, Bahamut Ridio would be a great option, but we haven't seen her. And that Bahamut summon, probably not what ClassyBadger was looking for. Interestingly enough, though, here we do not get a peek at the Baron basement. And looks like, if I'm not mistaken with my counting skills, we're going for an egg grind, but I think we're only at 9 key items.
I'm counting 9 as well. I'm wondering if ClassyBadger has miscounted and is going to stop after just a single one.
Yeah, this is a little interesting. Speaking of interesting, though, and things that are unpleasant, especially when you're not necessarily anchored in the traditional form of it, Wyvern on the Moon, always a fun time. And by fun, I mean not for the runners, for us and the viewers.
Yeah, and I don't think Edge is long for that world after everyone else fell over.
Yeah, that's a tough one for any single character to take on. And ClassyBadger does get the 34,000 experience. Looks like they may just be grinding eggs at 34,000 a crack instead of 68,000.
Yeah, and got an extra siren and as a reward, so free experience.
Yeah, definitely don't hate it.
Mylon has come back to try and get revenge for earlier.
Yeah,
I don't think this was going to be any different from than before.
No, I think this Mylon is about to fall into the deepest of ravines, straight from the bottom of the lunar subterrane down to the core, and then wherever things go from there. Mylon's going to literally fall out of existence. This is not a hard fight for this party. There's a fun thing that can happen, is you can get poisoned by Mylon, which is nothing more than a time waste at this point, waiting for that text box to go away, which seemingly lasts forever, by the way.
It does last forever. It's still actually going on right about now. You just don't see it because it's, well, fight's over.
Very fair. But there's the lovely poison walk, so avert your eyes and or possibly ears. Hopefully we get a tent soon. There we go. And also the tower key from that Mylon-Z.
Tower key is, but it's not one I'd like to just leave the moon for on its own.
Yeah, especially in Vitasia's situation, not having the Baron key means if you save scum that tower key and it turns into the Baron key, you are going to have to chase it. You've committed to that. And then if that doesn't pay out, it feels really bad.
Yeah.
But let's see what fresh heck awaits us at the Ogopogo altar. This is my least favorite spot in the game. And that's not exactly a pleasant boss. Gonna hit pretty hard here. Don't know what we have in the way of mage mashing gear.
One of our runners picked up some illusions, I believe. I'm not too certain which one, but that could have been an option. But you're absolutely right. This spot hurts. I haven't seen any mage killing gear. We might have seen a mute knife, but I think that might have been in a shop and didn't get picked up. Cecil's none of the physical attacks are definitely not you. They're not using it. So yeah. Also have to worry about those Cure 4s and Cure 3s at the moment, which are still coming out.
Yeah, this fight is... I always forget because we start with those rune rings in the kit, that Asura is not as bad as she used to be. I know in Zema Zone 3, I always dreaded finding her because it's just an annoying fight. Looks like we do have a Mage Master there because I think we saw was that an 8800 hit from Edge?
Yeah. Vitasia does have a mute knife. It did just go onto Edge. Edge swung, pretty much is doing the damage. Yes, but let's go back to the point about those rune rings. Yes, we do have them. However, there's only 2 characters in our team right now that can use them.
Well, I think one of the good things about this, though, is that Cecil and these cover strats, Asura not able to really do anything to this Cecil. So, making great work of that cover ability. Yeah,
that definitely a good thing. Maybe has a Aegis Shield on. Aegis Shield does give mage defense as well. So that and it definitely looks like he's got something along them lines. So a lot of defensive power there. Cover working perfectly. This fight's not long to be finished.
Yeah, it looks like Vitasia is through, and oh baby, there's the value. Vitasia is in go mode.
One thing I always say at the moment, when in doubt, go to the Ogopogo spot. Usually you'll find the item you need there. In about 90% of the cases.
Yeah, I mean, statistically speaking, the Pinktail's going to be on the moon about 1 in every 3 seeds. So it makes sense that if we hadn't found it yet, it was probably due to be up here rather than somewhere like the Barren Basement. So, I would say the math checked out here. Vitasia gets rewarded for getting through that fight. And there we go. Vitasia in go mode. This Zeromus fight shouldn't be too bad. It might be a little bit tricky because of the agility. But if this is a really good weapon for Cecil from this Pinktail turn-in, it may not matter.
Yeah, we've already got an Avenger sword, or we've got at least one source of Berserk with Fu. Might go down and check to see if there's Barkus wines in the Eblin shop, or just might hightail it straight to Zeromus after doing this check.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if Vitasia at all might think about an anchor. Maybe dropping one of their characters to try to pick up someone to kind of balance that agility out. Uh, Although with another Avenger, you're going to have so many people just auto zerked. I think the Bacchus question is answered now because
Yeah.
Avenger does that for you. So now it's just a matter of, do you care about anchoring?
To be honest, no.
I would also say no.
No, stick Fu in the middle. He's the lowest agility of the lot. Yes, Zeromus is going to be a little bit faster, but you've got enough agility with 2 canes and an edge that it really shouldn't matter.
Yeah, this is going to be a whole lot of dudes going burr. And I like the apple usage here on Fusoya. Very heads up to get that extra bonus XP, or excuse me, bonus HP to make sure that Fu doesn't fall over and take a nap in the Zeromus fight.
Yeah. There are 2 thresholds for the Big Bang spell. One is 2400, the other is 2700. So Fu should survive most of them with his gear. But we are going into a certain fight now, and, well, we don't move it. We don't really change it in a whole lot of cases, except for one thing. And since it's coming up to the weekend, it looks like we're getting the S question marks out. So what is the question that people are asking right now?
What's for dinner?
Yes, exactly. Hey, I'm thinking steak.
Oh,
Maybe that's what the S is for.
yeah, that S for steak. I'm not sure why it's on a flag. Maybe a really nice steakhouse. But I think the other question, Toydrak, is whose Tookus are we going to torch tonight?
Yeah, let's find out. Let's throw the crystal and see what's behind the mask.
Ah, it appears to be a very green type dragon.
It's
Gargoyle.
Dragon. Dragon, I believe it is, and I think that's from Crystallis.
I've never played it, but I've heard great things about it from certain members of this community who are very fond of Crystallis.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's Zeromus today, and I don't know the thing, and so I don't know the fight itself. So it may be a tough fight. Today, Vitasia is going to show that this Dragon is going to be a pushover with what the team that he's got.
Well, at least most of the team, because that Edge is having a bad day right now.
Yeah, but when you get thrown a counter nuke at you, and Edge doesn't have the biggest magic defense anyway, yeah, you usually have a bad time.
Yeah, for sure. And looks like we're getting about 7,000 a round for damage here, maybe 7,500. That's a little bit nervy as far as a damage range without that edge being picked up. I'm a little scared of a Big Bang into Meteor situation there.
Yeah, the fight should still be safe. It depends on when the hill comes out. There are spots where you can preemptively queue up the or situations where you can preemptively put up the Cure 4, so it happens immediately after the Big Bang if you know the timings for Zerg strats. So it shouldn't be an issue, so it shouldn't go Big Bang into Meteor. But if you don't know them timings, it can happen.
Yeah, it's definitely true, and holy cow, this Zeromus or this Dragon has it out for Edge. I think that was, what, a 23-20 roll on that Big Bang? That is enormous.
Yeah, did say that he doesn't have the biggest magic defense, and definitely showing in how much damage he's taken.
Yeah, one
But
thing of a slight concern here is Fusoya's MP pool. If this fight goes on too long, I don't think it will, but I think he's down to about 50, maybe 40 health or 40 MP right now.
one of the things, though, in the starter kit, you do get an elixir. I haven't seen that used, and so that may be being thrown onto him at some point very soon.
Yeah, I think after this Cure 4, we'll likely see that elixir pop onto him, get him healed back up, as well as get his MP restored. Because he is effectively at exactly 0 MP after that 40 MP use for that Cure 4. But
Yeah,
very well maneuvered so far. There's that elixir as you were talking about.
Yeah. People say about saving your items for the final boss fight. Well, this is the final boss fight. Use them if
Yep.
you've got them.
Yeah, can't take them with you to the next seed. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work.
If that was possible, we'd all be overflowing with elixirs right now.
Definitely true. There's rocks. Well, looks like it's ever so appropriately Cecil and literally anyone else to finish out the fight.
Cecil against the world. Yeah, that seems normal. Cecil will be up getting those 2 hits before the next Meteo, but they've both got enough hit points that this will be over before anything else.
And over it is. GG to Vitasia, finishing in a time of 1 hour, 18 minutes, and I believe 23 seconds. Our winner tonight, moving to 2-2, staving off elimination, and also joining us in the booth. GG Vitasia.
Then suddenly leaving us because he didn't like my face, and then joining again because he saw possums. So, no, there he goes again. Okay.
We're playing musical comms.
Yeah, we'll get him in as soon as he's got his things sorted out, so we may have him soon. Yeah.
But while we're waiting on Vitasia to join us for that post-game interview, it looks like ClassyBadger is fighting a Warlock and 3 carries on the moon, trying to get some extra XP. ClassyBadger moving through this lunar subterranean and going to be fairly hot on Vitasia's heels.
Who knows? We might find the adamant at some point, and he goes through that. He has faced Paladin, which I think was at the vanilla Paladin spot, so there's that. Or was that the... that might have been Cape Harmatop wasn't paying attention. Really should do that more.
Well, there were other things going on. You know, there was this Aromas fight. There was Vitasia hopping in and out of comms to try to do this interview for chat, everybody else. I heard you like Excaliburs and weapons for Cecil, because we found one.
Well, we were definitely needing one. It was about time it showed up, so we'll take it. We've only had Cecil since, what, the start of the seed?
Yep, he was there all along.
Levels are looking good for ClassyBadger, though. I don't think he's going to have too much worries for the rest of this. It's just finding going down to the Argopogus box, getting that pink tail, or randomly happening upon the adamant.
Yeah, and currently battling the true final boss of Final Fantasy IV, that being the inventory boss.
Clearing out a few bits, and like to see where that poor room is right now, actually. Level 48, so poor room does have Cure 4.
Yep, and so looks like that adamant rock was at that tower key that we both had said, nah, you don't save scum that.
Which means that it's likely that ClassyBadger is going to be clearing out that Ogopogo spot of going through a silver, because I don't see him going down for that tower key. Hey, he might. We've seen stranger things happen, but I think the Ogopogo is the route through for both of our runners today.
Yeah, it's definitely the more sensible route. The flat out just makes more sense. Words are hard. I don't know what to tell you. Save scumming a single key item just feels bad, especially like we were talking about. When you reset, you end up with a chain you have to chase. It just gets really awkward. So checking all of these spots, trying to find one of those terminal key items in that adamant rock or pinktail, that's your go mode if you find them. So it definitely does make sense, as we were talking about, to try to find those on the moon instead of just dipping out for a single key item.
Am I here now?
No, you're not. You're not here at all. You've won the race. You've shifted off because you want to go and get your breath. But well done.
Thanks. I'm sorry about that little Discord hiccup. But yeah, I'm back. I'm really happy with how I played that. I was just in the zone. I'll be perfectly 100% honest.
Well, it's a win in under 90 minutes. So whenever you get a seed under 90 minutes in this, you're thinking, yes, I've played that well. Now I'm on it today. Yeah, today was my day.
Yeah, I think I realized that I was like, yeah, I'm feeling it today. Like I'm just feeling good at that Kenyatta fight in the underground. I think I was like level in the mid 20s or something. That can be a very difficult fight if you're not ready for it. And I got through that, and it felt easy. And I was like, oh, so this is the kind of day we're having.
Yeah, that was a very smooth fight. Overall, I mean, everything you did, there were basically no major hiccups. Very smooth operating all the way through. Was a real joy to watch. Just, you carving through all these different bosses with, at least early on, not exactly the most optimal party to do so. Kind of take us through a little bit your feelings toward the early party. Were you worried you were never going to find a mage?
I wasn't. I mean, I'm not really worried about getting a white mage of any kind until halfway through the midpoint or so. Like, I can survive doing almost anything. And the characters they were throwing at me were perfectly viable for end party, and I was getting decent weapons for them. I didn't really we got very early magma key, and really we even got the darkness crystal before any boss pushed us really hard. So by then I already had an edge and a couple canes, it felt like. So I'm like, okay, so we're doing this. This is how the melee party is going to roll.
And those sirens in the underworld, once you just were the icing on the cake to probably what you were thinking. And you've got your team, you've got your grind. All I need to do is just find the items I need.
Yeah, and, it felt like, especially early on, I was concerned because everything did open up for us so early. But is you go and you get your characters, and that's really what I did, was follow the characters. Most of my checks were just, okay, let's go until I get my Porum. Oh, there's my Porum. Oh, but a Foo, that's slightly better. So at that point I knew, party set, just go as fast as you can. I think at that point I even had one Avenger Cane, and between Avenger Cane and Foo with Nuke, I'm like, yeah, I can get through just about anything at that point.
Yeah,
So,
and you did quite a great job of it as well, getting through everything.
I think my one critique of myself, I have to stop looting. I'm one of those folks that really likes to open boxes because it's really rewarding and satisfying. And 93 treasure chests open, that's not going to cut it too much longer. I got to get that number down.
yeah, no, but everyone sort of wants those shiny objects. And with this particular team that you were taking today, the equipment, having a little bit of extra equipment, such as extra armor, which you had a lot of heavy armor users, it's not a bad thing. It's just the less chests is usually better.
Yeah, I mean, at one point I was like, yeah, I'm good, but Cecil still is rocking the poison axe. Like, what am I gonna do? So, like, I still was leaning on something. Then I found a defense sword. I'm like, okay, but yeah, I mean, that was a fun seed. I will be 100% honest. I saw about midday today that Asuka was rolling the seed, and I had a mild panic attack. I'm like, oh no, what's gonna happen?
This happened.
Yeah, this happened. I will say this was a pretty tame one. So I think Asuka was feeling nice today, and you got to be the recipient of it.
You know what? I will take that. Thank you so much, Asuka. I don't know what I did to earn your favor, but thank you.
She was planning on a race between me and Possum, not you and ClassyBadger. No, that's what happened, and so we'll put it down to that. That's why she was nice today. She wasn't expecting in you.
Okay, fair. That's fair. But yeah, I mean, that's all I really have to talk about. Just a shout out to the community, everyone who puts on these races. You know, Poidric, Possum, Morpheus, you guys are two of my favorite people in the community, so I'm really looking forward to watching this back. Asuka, Starman, behind the scenes, chat, and the whole community. Go to the Discord. ClassyBadger. I honestly thought I was going for a third straight loss here, so big shout out to Classy as well.
Yeah, well, GG's again, Vitasia. Before we let you go, you are at 2-2 now. You have staved off elimination. Anyone you're looking to match up with, or anything you'd like to say to your future opponent or opponents?
It's a buzzsaw from here on out. You know, everyone in the community. Oh, I mean, even sub 500 looks scary. Like the 1 and 3s, there's some really good runners who have already been eliminated. And every week is, from this point forward, is desperation. So just hold tight, and I don't know, like, I don't want to face anyone who's ranked at the same level as me. It's terrifying.
I'm in that pool, so
see, exactly, like
yeah. So I'm completely in the same boat as you. So maybe we'll get matched up next week. Maybe we won't, but we just play our best and just go from there.
Poidric, tell you what, if it's you and me, I claim the Ocho. With that needs to be the first match ever streamed on the Ocho.
Well, we'll see what happens. No, that won't be our decisions.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we'll let you go. Have a good evening and prepare for next week. See what happens.
Agreed. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
All right, and that was Vitasia, this evening's winner, moving again to 2-2, staving off elimination from bracket stage for the time being, hopefully permanently. We are all cheering for Vitasia to make it to that 4-2 mark, to make it into the bracket stage. Would you see ClassyBadger getting to this Asura fight, which we know is half of what would be their go mode? I do not see the hook lit up for them, so I don't.
They haven't done Kunyotsu yet, and that's something I noticed while we were having that interview, and that this actually isn't the end for ClassyBadger. So what I was saying about them both going through this Asura to finish up their seed to get to Zeromus, likely isn't actually true. It's likely more that tower key is going to be checked on ClassyBadger's side rather than going through that Kenyatta.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out where ClassyBadger decides to go, because we know that tower key holds value, but you don't necessarily want to leave for it. And that Wyvern is kind of that burning thing here up on the moon that it's, something ClassyBadger's really going to want to get through if possible before leaving.
I'm actually thinking the opposite. I think he's taken 3 swings at it. I think he's likely thinking, if Vitasia's finished, it's possible it's through this, but it's more likely that it isn't. Let's go and do the other checks first, especially seeing a pink tail up here. He's going to... one of the first things would be, right, hook somewhere. That's not up on the moon. I've gone through every other check up here, apart from that Wyvern.
Right, that is a very good point. That it could very well, or probably is something else. Based on what everyone has run through so far. So you do definitely bring up a valid point on that.
Yeah, and that tower key, if Vitasia, we had the Darkness Crystal in a fairly early check. So it's not inconceivable that Vitasia came up and cleared the moon early and found that tower key. So that ClassyBadger might think, right, this is one of the ways through for this. And he'd be right, it is one of the ways through, just not the one Vitasia actually took.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense from a metagaming perspective, if you will, once you see that a Dotdon has come in. But looks like ClassyBadger is through that Asura, going to pick up his pink tail, and now we know where that hook is through the pan at Kainatsu. We also know that Adamant Rock is through the tower key. So we'll see what ClassyBadger decides to do from here, whether he is going to take a couple more shots at the Wyvern, or if he's going to opt for greener pastures elsewhere with slightly less mega flares coming out.
Well, everyone likes a little less mega flare in their life.
Well, except for Wyvern and Bahamut. And maybe Rydia.
Fair. But is exiting out, and looks like they're heading to rest up.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, no, on the way back down. So just healing while in the big whale while it's on their mind, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Fairly efficient to do that. And then probably going to check this tower key, I would imagine.
Yeah, tower key just sort of makes most sense. And so Kenyatta, yes, you can get through it, but you've got to walk down. It's a little bit further. The tower key is a quick and easy check at this point.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It's going to be one tap from any of the fighters, and whatever's in there is going to fall over. Annoying things that could still be left, I guess. Have we seen Golbez? I'm just trying to think what could possibly be in there that would be annoying and eat up time. But, the tower key has a cutscene or two, but other than that,
Golbez?
Nothing in here. Yeah, other than that, nothing in here is going to be really that annoying.
Yeah, because we know Warthag's not available because that's in Feymarsh. Nothing else really takes up time except Golbez. So yeah, this is pretty much, unless it's that one shot and done.
Yeah, and this Leviathan, Even if you were to take this Leviathan at really low levels, it wouldn't matter. The magic here is virtually non-existent. Good thing ClassyBadger did heal, though, because that big wave, had it connected, would still knock out 25% of your health.
Yeah. Pity that Cecil didn't have the Avenger Sword, because it would have likely happened without that big wave coming out. But still, easy fight, straight down. We know this is going to be the Adamant. He's going to go and forge. He is then going to have to go back through the Lunar Subterrane, because he doesn't have that pass from the Rat Tail. But he's well on his way. I don't think we're going to see too much longer until a shake from Zeromus in fear of Excalibur Cecil.
Yeah, that'll be Excalivenger Cecil for ClassyBadger. So that Cecil's going to go burr. I'm curious to see if in the Kokol shop we find things like maybe power shirts to go with those Zeus gauntlets, or something else to outfit this team to make them even more overpowered.
Yeah. Although you usually get the better stuff from the S Pro flags, there have been a lot of instances at the moment where S standard Kokol shops just ridiculous. Crystal rings, power shirts. I don't think there's as much difference at the moment as there normally is in between the two flag sets, the flag settings.
Yeah, I've noticed on these that I find pretty much exclusively tier 6 items, whereas in a lot of other ones you find some of those like tier 5 consumables, like the hourglasses and sirens and things like that you might not have found otherwise. So I quite like the shops here. Oftentimes it's also fun to just buy a ton of apples and give someone like Porum 3,000 health, because it's just humorous.
Yeah, it just guarantees Big Bang survival as well. And that means guaranteed healing afterwards.
Yep, and speaking of apples, and unfortunately no power shirt, that would have been really nice. But an extra Zeus gauntlet, so this way everyone is super strong.
Artemis arrows are one of those items that you'd really like to see as well, a lot of, because if you haven't done your grind, that's easy grind, and with extra damage versus dragons, that's the eggs or the king rears.
Yeah, the Artemis arrows help facilitate a lot of those grinds. Although for this party they did have that Dragoon Spear, which kind of did that for them. But in a lot of situations you would forge, then maybe need some levels for Zeromus, and oh hey, here's some Artemis arrows, go knock some eggs out in one shot. Easy peasy, 3 minutes later you go from late 30s in levels to late 40s, and you're just power overwhelming.
And if we hadn't found Defense Sword or Avengers or the Excalibur just from the Forge, that Defense Sword might have been a little bit more desirable as well.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That Defense Sword, definitely a top tier weapon for Kain. A decent weapon, again, as we discussed earlier. It's no holy sword for Cecil, but in a pinch, it can do the job.
So ClassyBadger is done, ready. Should be looking at these levels and going, yeah, I think I'm done. Tenting up anyway, not really required, but my ClassyBadger is one of these younger. I don't want to say a younger, but newer runners who likely doesn't know the full ins and outs of every single thing, is testing their mettle in this particular tournament at the moment, and has done an amazing job, and just wants to be a little bit more safe with maybe the little bit of gaps in knowledge they have.
Yeah, I would say for anyone starting out, or maybe a little newer, or just unsure of what they're able to get away with, make sure that you are taking comfortable fights while you're learning the game, while you're getting into it. once you get past a certain threshold and you're practicing and things like that, then go ahead and try to push yourself. Do more with less. But if this is ClassyBadger's comfort zone, if they want to be in the low 50s to mid 50s for levels, if they want to be a little more thorough, if that's their spot, stay in that spot. If that's your comfort zone, you don't necessarily have to get out of it in a race. Play your own race. Don't necessarily just try to metagame off everything anyone else is doing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of situations where you just playing your own race gets you that victory because you're safe. Other people may just take those risks that you don't and be damaged by them and just not have as clean a run as you do.
Yeah, and that's one of the keys to this is you got to be comfortable with what you're doing, and as long as you're there, win or lose, if you feel like you ran a good race, that's the true reward. Some of the best races I know I've ever run, I have not won. ClassyBadger, for them, this may very well be one of those situations where yes, they will have lost here. They will effectively be eliminated from the bracket rounds. But with everything that ClassyBadger has cleared, outside of that Wyvern fight, what did ClassyBadger struggle with? Nothing that I can remember.
There was nothing, and there was only one blip where they went from the plague spot just a moment ago that they've just passed straight into the D Lunar spot to get mega nuked by Wyvern, and which caused a reset. That's about it. There's not really a whole lot of things that ClassyBadger has done wrong. It just hasn't gotten the win today, but may in other times.
Yep, absolutely.
The only other little thing that I have noticed from ClassyBadger, which I'm hoping he's going to take to heart as sort of constructive criticism if he watches this back, is just learn the layouts of the floor plans a little bit in some of the areas. As most of them he's gone through fairly well, but there have been occasions just like that where he's just gone off the beaten track a little bit and just take a little bit of time just moving back and forth. Just learn the layouts a little bit, know where you're going in any particular dungeon or town. Be a bit more efficient in that movement. You'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely agree. That was one of the hardest things for me when I started with this randomizer, was knowing where to go, whether it be on the overworld, the underworld, on the moon. It took a while to get acclimated to all of it. So it's one of those where you have to figure out where you want to go and just kind of be decisive with it. And that'll come with time and practice. And watching back the videos, watching back the VODs, comparing what you did versus your opponent, seeing where that time loss or where that time could be made up is. That's also a huge thing for anyone starting out, and even anyone who's continuing to run and wanting to improve. Find out what you and your opponent did differently.
And they are now going into the Zoromus fight, taking on their Dragon, or Dragomus. Here comes the Berserking up Sid. Cecil will be not far behind. Kane's likely already going, and then just let them do the work, and the mages sit back, sip some tea for Fu, and maybe some apple juice for Porum, and just heal when necessary.
Was that a 2496 damage crit from a Silver Hammer Sid in a Zoromus fight?
Well, Sid does some really strange damage sometimes.
I know Sid's natural crit rate is higher than any other character's. I think his is first and then Rosa's second. But that was something else. That was a beefy hit from Sid. Looks like Kane decided to eat not one but two nukes and decided to take a nap on us. But looks like Life 2 is coming out. Going to get that Kane back up and be moving on with these Aromas fights. So ClassyBadger should have this well in hand. Has tons of HP on his characters. So I'm not super worried about the long-term effects of that counter nuke.
Yeah. One thing in ClassyBadger has not been shy about is making use of that Life 2 spell. Oh, he has used it constantly throughout this to get his characters back into full fighting condition, not just that little bit from a life potion or life 1. Get them so they're surviving fights. So that's a good thing on his part. He wanted the experience on everyone. He wanted them to survive fights. And it's showing in now that with Porum being in the level or she is, Sid doing the damage that he can is doing right now. Also, yeah, Life 2, good spell.
Yeah, Life 2, it's a little bit slow as far as the cast time, but if you have the available, ATB ticks where you can safely get a Life 2 off, especially on someone like Kane who has that Avenger on, if you get him back at full health, you really are not going to have to worry about healing him again for a very long time, if ever. So I actually like the usage of the Life 2 here, where normally I wouldn't, but I think in this situation it's very heads up. I do also always enjoy the Porum animation where she is just kind of ducking and covering.
Well, she doesn't. She's a young girl. No, she. Really, do you want to be hit by an exploding universe?
I mean, it wasn't on my top 3 of things to do today, so I kind of feel, what Porum is thinking there. Especially after that exploding universe exploded her and put her on the ground for a nap. Albeit well-deserved in this case. She did a great job to Seed. And there is the crack and the boom and the flash and all of the things that mean that Zeromus is gone. ClassyBadger finishing in second place in our race tonight. Unfortunately eliminated from brackets, but not eliminated from the tournament. Played a fantastic race tonight, and I believe with that dinging in my ear, we are joined by ClassyBadger. GG's.
GG's, thank you.
Yeah, first and foremost, very well run race. Just wanted to compliment you kind of up and down. Got through everything, nothing really stood in your way other than that wyvern. It just very well executed.
Thanks. I mean, it's like I'm trying to figure out like where I lost time behind Vitasia. I mean, because I felt like I was doing pretty good. It always seems to be with me the moon, the bloody moon. Every single time, I never dive it early enough, and I think all the races I've lost, it's because I didn't dive the moon early enough. So that's one of the things that I gotta start learning to do, is going into that moon more often.
One of the things Vitasia did say, though, in his interview with us, is that he felt really on point himself today. So, it just may be a little bit that he was slightly faster than you in some cases, but you played your own race really today, and you did what needed to be done. Just slipped up up on very minor occasions, but otherwise, yeah, very solid race. The one other thing is I have is, in terms of you going around maps and locations, do you feel comfortable doing that? We did see a few bits of hesitation and wrong turns.
So yeah, the wrong turns thing is I don't race this as often as I probably should. I race a lot of different randomizers, and it's one of those things where you get to some maps and you're like, oh, this is not a location where I go to often enough when I do to kind of do the practice leads that I do for this, that I feel like really comfortable in knowing exactly where I am. So that just comes from, like I said, I don't practice probably as much as I should. And sometimes I'll get like, because I race like Worlds Collide, which is the 6 randomizer. I race Career Day, which is the 5 randomizer. I'm trying to learn a few others, and you completely like you kind of get flooded on all these different maps in your head, and then like you make a wrong turn, and then you get yourself flustered, and then like double back and miss turns. So that's purely just because I feel I don't practice enough.
That's fair enough. It is difficult to just keep your mind on focus on one, especially if you're really not too familiar with them. But that comes with time, and once you've learned things a little bit more later. So yeah, I don't want to see it you to see it as a criticism or anything. Just maybe learn the maps a little bit more. But other than that, I've got nothing really else to say about it. It's just you just played well.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely maps. Like, there's like between the tournament, like being on stream jitters, where you're kind of like, oh, I definitely know I made the wrong mistake there, and then you start overcorrecting. And then like there's certain maps where I do tend to get confused a little bit more, like Tower of Zot. I normally don't remember quite as well, and same with the Tower. I don't remember quite as well. And then the past few races I've had, I actually always found the pass. So like I didn't have to go through the moon as much. So there was definitely times where I'm like, oh, where is it in the moon that I need to go again on this? But yeah, that's just I know that's kind of one of my weaknesses in my game right now.
Fair enough. This, to be honest, this race hasn't given me a whole lot of questions because it's just been run so well between both of you. So, Possum, do you have anything more?
Just kind of a mirror question, basically. Asked this to Vitasia, but early on, the party was melee, and if you didn't have enough melee, oh, by the way, here's some more melee characters. Thoughts on how happy you were, I assume happy anyway, when you saw Fusoya?
I was pretty happy. I would have been okay, I think, if like I had just found Edge. Like if I had gone to the moon and found Edge, and I'd never actually found Fusoya and just gone and gotten Porum, I probably would have been okay as well. I tend to prefer Berserk strats.
Mm-hmm.
But Fusoya is just, it's just like, okay, well now I have a second white mage basically to really make sure I can get through the Zeroma's fight. But yeah, he's never bad to find. And I probably, knowing Edge was there, I wasn't sure on how the objective flags actually work. Like if I found Porum but didn't put her into my team, do they still count as meeting the objective? So it's like, all right, I should probably put them onto my team just to be safe in case I do miss that up. Because I probably would have said, okay, I found them, drop them, just taken Fusoya, and then found Edge on the moon. But at the point I found Edge on the moon, I was just like, okay, well, I've already kind of done my level grinding, and I don't want to have to go back to grind Edge up as well. And I think it already sold my Masamune, so I was like, I'll just take 2 white mages. Fusoya to also back up to have Quakes and some stuff is really good as well. But I'll tell you who is the real MVP of this was either finding the Avenger early to make Cecil my Mad Dog off his chain, or in some of the fights, Kane with his Dragoon Lance, like between the Lunar Dragons, between the Pale Dim, him doing like max damage, just jumping all over the place. Those were my 2 real MVPs on the team.
Absolutely. And just to let you know, if you do decline the character, for example, had you declined Porum, it would still count towards the objective because it is just you finding the character, not necessarily adding them to your team. So just something for you going forward as well.
Yeah, that's actually good to know because they're just like, man, I don't have to I not take them, and then it didn't count towards the objective, and then like have to reset to go get them again. So I was like, let's just be safe than sorry.
Yeah, absolutely understandable.
Yeah, and that was one of the key things about your run today. You being safe, playing your own race. So yeah, today didn't quite bring it out, but on another day, that very may well get you the victory just because someone else has tried something off the wall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad about the race I ran at all. Like you said, I played the race my way. There was obviously some few things, obviously in the future, kind of the big one being going into the moon earlier that I think I would change. But as far as like kind of how I approach the different things, I can't say I felt bad. Like I'm not beating my stuff about any of the steps I take. I was like, these were all logical steps I took, and at the time when I was running it, it made sense to me what I was doing. So, and that's really the best you can do.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, that does basically put you out of the running for the brackets. But are you going to be continuing on for the next couple of weeks just to play your game, just see what else you can do with this, just maybe improve a little bit?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll keep racing all the weekly races. I did not expect to make it to the group stage. If I actually somehow did, I would be a very, very dark horse. So yeah, I'll keep racing it. They're fun races. It's great experience. To just so that way in the future when other leagues and stuff like that come up, that kind of still have that experience. I keep building on my knowledge. So yeah, I'll keep having fun. Keep doing the races.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear people having fun, because that's what I want people to do with this. When I'm doing when I'm just doing it myself, I want to have fun. So yeah, perfectly acceptable. Yeah.
Yeah, racing is fun. Who knew?
Yeah. So any last comments before we let you go, or are you done with it?
I am hungry and I'm about to go get a Pizza Hut pizza.
Ooh.
That sounds perfect. So yeah, go and grab your pizza. Go and have a bit of a reward for your race today. You well. Look forward to seeing your races in the future.
Thank you so much.
All right, and that was ClassyBadger, our second place finisher this evening in the race between ClassyBadger and Vitasia. ClassyBadger does move to 1 and 3, as Poydrak had stated, unfortunately eliminated from bracket contention. However, still has 2 more rounds that they are absolutely able to play in, and we look forward to seeing ClassyBadger play in those runs. Vitasia, staying alive at 2 and 2, still has a shot at making brackets, has to get 2 more wins in a row. But even though we are done here with this matchup between ClassyBadger and Vitasia, Poydrak, if I'm not mistaken, we still have some more free enterprise.
Oh yes, and we're going to be taking you over to a match that's, I believe, either just about to start or has already started. A very hype matchup. Flurry 14 versus Dr. Cossack. Both are 2 and 1, and so both are looking to improve on that and get one step closer to that group stage. It's going to be a very interesting match. We are going to raid the Free Enterprise channel, which it is on, so you don't need to go anywhere. However, please do not spoil this particular race. There are people who haven't watched it and would like to watch it on the platform later, so no spoilers.
Yeah.
Other than that, enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy, everyone. Poydrak, it was a pleasure. Thank you to the runners for coming on the stage for us. Thank you to Asuka for rolling the seed, being the restreamer. Thank you to Starman Random for pushing the buttons. So appreciate everyone for all they've done, and everyone in chat for hanging around and having a blast. And yeah, y'all take care. Stay healthy. Stay blessed, and we'll see y'all next time. Enjoy the race between Doc and Flurry on Free Enterprise.
Yeah. And also thank you for Possum for not eating those buttons that Starman was sort of pushing.